Well, you could say goodbye to the Manhole cover. This is the focus group.
It's the savvy side of 9 to 5. Listen.
Bueller.
Laugh. And learn.
Negotiation. This is what you do in business.
This is the focus group with Tim Bennett.
Staunch.
And John Nash.
Keep your clothes looking neat and clean.
We're all business. Except when we're not.
Hello, everybody. Tim Bennett here, as always, with my good friend and co-host, Mr. John T. Nash. The T is for trouble. Look at you in that blue today. I like that royal blue. I always tell John, wear dark blues and primary blues.
Is this dark enough, or is this...
Royal blue, it's a good one. It's good, very summery, I think.
This is a shirt made by Rhone.
Rhone?
Yeah, it has these three little X.
R-H-O-N-E?
R-H-O-N-E, yeah.
French.
And I noticed it last year when I was watching the Tour de France.
France?
The Tour de France.
Tour de France?
Yeah, we had that whole thing about Alexa, right? Yeah. Alexa, who won today's stage of the Tour de France? I don't know. If you say France, then it answers your question. But all the commentators had NBC Sports, and then I saw this little thing, and they always look great in the booth, and this is the blue that they wore. So I decided I was going to get my own color.
Oh. Well, thanks for joining us today. It's the end of July already.
Almost.
And, it's the end
One more
of
week.
No, it's the end of July.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
End of July. Let me look at my notes. I think today's the 31st.
The 31st,
August
right.
is tomorrow.
Right. Yep.
I can't believe it. Anyway, thanks for joining us. And we also want to thank you all for participating and listening to our podcast, which is TFG Unbuttoned. The TFG stands for the Focus Group, if you didn't know. So that's Tuesday mornings. You're laughing. Anyway, so John, you're looking awful radiant today.
Thank you.
Why is that?
That is probably because I'm trying out our Lumen skincare products.
Now, Patrick Pan was on last week from Lumen.
Yep.
And he talked to us all about these new products. And so I've been using them for the week, and I was telling you on my way in, I actually love the way, so you have them in that box there. I have the exfoliating cream and the charcoal cream. And my face got really tight. And, you could do it all in under... It says 2 minutes, but you could do it in under 90 seconds because you keep one on for 15 seconds, you wipe it off, wash it off in the sink, and then put the other one on for like 20 seconds.
So what Tim is talking about is Lumen is a line of men's skincare products, and the goal here is to keep it as simple as possible.
Yep.
Because I don't want to stereotype, but guys are, I'm not overly particular about certain things. I just want to do it quick. I don't want a lot of stuff. I don't want to worry about gelays and creams. So the kit that we got is called the Classic Maintenance Kit. Mm-hmm. And Tim's referring to that you get 3 items. The first one was the exfoliating, which you do dry.
Right.
And then you rinse that off, and then you go to the charcoal-based.
Yeah, about a dollop the size of a dime. Put it on.
And then you finish with the moisturizer. And it's designed to do it in all under 2-3 minutes, right?
Well, it says you could do it under 2 minutes. I did it in under 90 seconds. So I think you could do it under 90 seconds. But so it's 2 minutes out of your day. And I always like to say, John, your face is your moneymaker. And men don't pay attention to their face and skin cream. And I'm always looking for a good moisturizer. And I struggled because when we talked about this with him last week, even if you try to go to a grocery store, a specialty store, it's hard to find stuff for men.
Yeah.
Even some of the big chains that people know. So what I loved about this is it's formulated specifically for men's skin, which is different than women's skin. Mm-hmm. And so it's so far I've been very happy with it. I feel a glow.
Well, I like it because, I have problem skin, I call it. And I love when a dermatologist will say to you, well, you wouldn't have problem skin if you stopped exercising and riding your bike because it's all about sweat. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll just stand still and my skin's going to be perfect like a statue, right? So there are 3 kits. If you go to lumenskin.com/focus, we have a special offer for our listeners. I encourage you to try it out because it's pretty inexpensive. It's a $45 set, and all you have to pay is $5.95 for shipping and handling.
Yep.
It's Lumen, Luminskin, lumenskin.com/focus. And I think that what can you choose, or do you get the basic?
I believe it's the maintenance kit.
The classic maintenance kit, which is what Tim just described. But
retail value of $45 for $5.95. You can't beat it with a stick.
And if you did beat it with a stick, you look darn good doing it because your skin's your moneymaker and your face looks great from all the
Your
Lumen
face is your
products,
moneymaker.
right?
You spend money. Listen, you spend money on the gym. You spend money on clothes. You just talked
yeah.
about your shirt. You spend money on, well, some of us spend money on hair care products.
True.
So, you might as well spend money on your face.
All right, so I'm going to just reiterate it again, guys. Check it out. lumenskin.com/focus. The offer is basically shipping and handling, $5.95. It's a $45 value. Give it a whirl. I think you'll find it's super easy to use, and your skin's going to feel different and great. And I think the real test is going to be a couple shows from now.
Yeah.
After you've been using it for a while. So lumenskin.com/focus. Take advantage of the offer.
The real test is going to be is Garrett. Garrett and Steve in the booth. Garrett, I know you're anti any kind of jellies, jams, and things on your face, but maybe we'll do a live. I think we should do that, John. We're going to bring Garrett on, and we'll do we'll have to get a basin of water, and we'll do a facial for you.
Something classy looking, like a ceramic thing. We don't want it cheap. You could go out and get a plastic bin.
Would you be willing to be the guinea pig, Garrett?
Nothing more than I want than a facial from a couple of guys.
Bum.
What did we set that up?
Nicely done, Garrett.
Didn't we set that up? What about you, Steve? Steve's turning red. Steve will take the facial. No?
Absolutely not.
It's charcoal. Seconder. Oh,
Who's in the bag? I can't see.
that's the intern.
It's Dante.
Oh, Dante.
Hello, I'm Dante.
Hi, Dante. I was trying to look
Did you not
behind
recognize him with his glasses on?
No, well, and I got this this is in my view.
The Clark Kent persona.
Yeah, there you go. One moment,
There's
you're
Dante.
Superman. Oh, okay, next year. Yeah, there you
Dante,
go.
look at you go.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Give
The boys in the booth.
give Dante a facial with Lumen. There you go.
That's the show.
Lumen. Anyway.
What caught your eye this week, Mr.
What caught your eye? Here's what Tim and John found.
I selected this for two reasons. Because we have a funny story about this restaurant, and it goes way back to a trip to California. But it's peculiar. So here's the story. Mysterious, untouched In-N-Out burger found lying on a Queens street. Did you guys hear about this?
Queens, New York?
Yeah. A New York man found a pristine In-N-Out burger, a double-double. Remember, how you ordered In-N-Out burger, sitting untouched on a Queens block, and told the Post on Sunday that he's in shock over the case of the mystery meat. The Santa Monica native and his wife, so they obviously know In-N-Out because they come from California, had time to kill before catching a train at the Jamaica Long Island Railroad Station and decided to grab a bite at the McDonald's on Sutphin Boulevard. There on a nearby nearly empty block sat the untouched cheeseburger, sitting comedically, like perfectly up on the street, completely untouched. We didn't touch it, he continued. We stopped for a second and took photos and looked around to see if anyone else was watching. Bame, his name is, wondered how the burger had gotten there and how it had remained looking as if it had come off the grill 5 minutes ago.
Wow.
The fast food, In-N-Out Burger has restaurants in Arizona, Nevada, Oregon, Utah, and its home state of California, but none east of Kansas City.
So that burger traveled, if it's a burger.
It is. Bame said he's probably had over 1,000 In-N-Out burgers in his life and called the delicacy my death row last meal. And if you're a fan of In-N-Out Burger, as I know Tim is, I am too.
One of our first stops when we get to California.
California's In-N-Out Burger. That's how he's sure the burger he saw is the real deal. He pointed to the trademark placement of the onion between the two patties, the lettuce at the bottom, and the way the buns were toasted as evidence that they're real. What did he say here? Bame said he's tried to bring burgers back to the Big Apple after trips to L.A., but they never hold up. He said the bun gets soggy and it becomes a mess. This one was just in such a perfect condition it felt strange. So
did he eat it?
They left it, and then other people photographed it. It became like this little weird meme thing. So he wondered if it was a stunt. He thought maybe this is a stunt. And turns out he's a creative director at an advertising agency, but they couldn't figure it out. So he has come up with a theory about this. He thinks that somebody incredibly wealthy had a private jet. They traveled with like 50 of the burgers. They get to New York. They had a few extras, so they toss them out the window of a car. Like a limousine. That's a pretty unusual theory, don't you think?
I can't imagine tossing it out. And I would think if you would toss it, it wouldn't have stayed together. If you're watching and see the picture of it, I mean, it is almost like it's placed
just
perfectly.
Been wrapped and literally.
And I'm with you. It sounds to me like a stunt.
So
Like, oh, In-N-Out Burger's coming, right? Everybody's talking about
So
it.
this guy, Bame, says, as an advertising guy, he said, if this was guerrilla marketing, if it was a stunt, why did they pick this empty block in Queens?
Well, it was near McDonald's, right?
It was around the corner, yeah, but no one was around. It was just sitting on the road. Like, I just think it's kind of funny.
If you threw it out of a car, it would have been a mess.
So
Don't you think?
would have broken up. Yeah, it's a burger, right? But look, it's wrapped, it's perfect. So it is odd. Maybe the burger came from Kansas City, but that's
Even if it came from Kansas City, they don't travel well.
Maybe someone took the paper. Hey, here's an Occam's razor explanation. The simplest explanation must in fact be the truth. What if somebody had one of those, the things they wrap the burger in, the paper, and they made the burger, wrapped it up, and it looked like an In-N-Out? I mean, I'm just saying.
I can't believe there's got to be a surveillance camera.
So Tim and I have a In-N-Out Burger story. We were in Palm Springs, and then we had to go to L.A. where Tim was giving an award or receiving an award. And Martina was getting like an award.
I got an award, yeah.
So we are driving along the freeway. We have plenty of time before L.A., and we see a sign. And Tim's like, let's get our In-N-Out Burger fix. Let's go to the burger place. So we go to In-N-Out Burger. We pull in.
Did we have the vegetarians with us, or was it
No,
just you and I?
it was just you and I. They were meeting us in L.A., but we had the vegetarians during the week. We pull into In-N-Out Burger, and we pull in, and the car is parked in front of a bank, like that's sloping up. And right in front of us, there's a man laying face down
Oh yeah, I remember
in the
that.
grass, like pointing down the bank, just laying there. So we're like, we get out of the car. It's hot. It's like 100 degrees, right? Dry heat. We go in, we order, and Tim goes, by the way, there's a guy laying out on the bank in front of our car,
Face down.
face down. He could be dead. There's a pause, and the woman who's taking our order goes, I don't think so. I've seen him around before. He's asleep. California, right? He's asleep.
He did look dead.
He
Didn't
was there.
move.
He was there when we pulled
Face
out.
down, didn't move the whole time.
Anyway, that's our California In-N-Out Burger story, and the one found in Queens.
Well, I love that, and I love In-N-Out. Have you boys ever been to an In-N-Out Burger out west?
In Vegas, I have.
Oh, that's Vegas.
and
Where
Gar-
are they? Oh, that's right. They are in
Yep.
Vegas. I haven't
Garrett, do you
Yeah.
like it?
It was good. I like Shake Shack better. I feel like it's similar to Five Guys in my tier
That-
of burgers.
Yeah, you're
No,
right.
I think it's a good comparison to Five
Garrett's
Guys.
tough to please.
Well,
Other than those Oreo cookies.
I bet you Garrett doesn't get invited to focus groups too often.
No, probably
I've
not.
never signed up for one.
Oh, but you should, and then you'd be the ringer. You'd be the
Well,
guy
you know what they do? They'd pay him to leave.
because he group thinks. He would come up with a
Get
strong
everybody
opinion.
right.
All
Then it's like
Yeah.
get the guy out with the cap.
we were the client. We'd be like, tell the moderator to get rid of the guy in the hat.
$75, tell him to leave. So mine was a little bit different. I don't know if you saw this. So Disney, this one girl named Kensley Davis, and her favorite movie is the Disney animated tale of Moana. This
Yes.
little girl, Moana. And so for her 25th birthday, she said to her mother that she would like to have a Moana-themed birthday cake. So her mom called the Dairy Queen to order the cake, and they said, absolutely. And the cake was delivered to the house, and the parents and everybody just busted up laughing. So if you're watching on the set, that's kind of what the Moana cakes look like. I went on to
That's what you were. She
Google.
thought she was ordering.
Thought she was going to get this little girl there. She's on the island in the waves and whatever. And this is the cake that ended up showing up on the next slide. The person at the Dairy Queen thought she said marijuana.
I want a marijuana cake.
So they did the pot leaf, and look at my little pony with the pot leaf on it, and that's the character to the right there. But so that's the cake that showed up, and they said that the mother and the whole family was hysterically laughing. They thought it was the funniest thing they'd ever seen, and they said they thought it would be a birthday to remember. So, but they did let the Dairy Queen know. The woman who made the cake was mortified and very apologetic, said she'd make another one. They said, absolutely not. It tastes great. It's fine. We just thought you should know for the future, even though our daughter's 25, but there may be some little kid that wants a Moana cake. You need to do Moana, not marijuana. And what I loved about that, there was a place back when we were in our 20s in Philadelphia where if cakes were done wrong or people didn't pick them up, Happy Birthday John, and nobody picks the cake up, they would sell them for like half price or whatever. So that's where we would
it a
always
bakery?
get. Yeah. We would always get cakes and stuff there. And to this day, my friend Susan in Seattle, Jay, that you know, I got her one year, Happy Birthday Irving. And it was a delicious cake. And to this day, if
Did you purposely go to the bakery?
well, you could pick them out. It's
Find
peach.
out.
No, it's whatever they have. So I'm like, here's one, Irving. I don't, so Happy Birthday, Irving. So we would do our birthdays, and so even to this day, we laugh if we happen to be in the same city or celebrating. I'll go buy this stuff and write Happy Birthday, Irving on her cake. But what a great idea! So what are you going to do with the cakes, right?
I think it's brilliant because they're not. Sometimes they screw up.
Or you say, I need to order a cake and the people never pick the cake up, which is now, I think, the reason why when I go to bakeries, they're very rarely done. Even if you go to Costco, they'll do it there for that reason. But this was, 30, 20.
I want a marijuana cake, please.
I need a cake with a Moana theme.
You know what would have been funnier is if it was a Moana themed cake and instead they infused the cake with cannabis. Then the party went off the rails at some point, right?
Well, we don't know how that is.
We all drinking and eating.
Call 911. The business birthday today.
Everyone does celebrity birthday greetings, but the Focus Group is the only show in the universe that celebrates business birthdays.
So born today, July 21st, 1867, Sebastian Spearing Kresge.
Oh my! I didn't look at the deck beforehand.
He died
Kresge's,
right?
Which became. I'll let you do it, but we had a Kresge's when we were growing up.
Yeah, we all did. He died at 99 years old in 1996 of October. He was an American businessman. He created and owned 2 chains of department stores. The first one, S.S. Kresge, was one of the 20th century's largest discount retail organizations. And he also owned something here in this area, which I never heard of, called the Kresge Newark traditional department store chain.
Yeah.
So the discounter, Kresge's, was renamed the Kmart Corporation in 1977, and then evolved into what it is today, Sears Holding Company, which is the parent of Kmart and Sears. He was born in Allentown, PA, near Allentown, PA, and he clerked for a number of years at as a traveling. He clerked and he was a traveling salesman at a hardware store, and worked for McCrory.
I know McCrory. I remember McCrory's as well. My God.
Founder of the Five and Dime stores out of Memphis, Tennessee. And he worked there for 2 years. And then he and a friend of his, Charles Wilson, with $8,000, opened up their own 5 and 10 cent store in downtown Detroit. And they were able to work with McCrory's and get one of his shops. So they incorporated in 1912. They had 85 stores. They were listed on the stock exchange in 1918. And he experimented with raising the price limit to $1. From the 5 and 10, he raised it to $1, and then started to buy some other large. He'd buy out other small independent department stores. His net worth in 1924 was $375 million, which in 2009 dollars is about $5 billion.
Not bad.
Can you imagine? And he owned most of the real estate, which was also valued.
So he not only
hundreds of
owned
millions.
the building on the land, he owned the.
Imagine.
Okay.
Married a few times. He
loved Kresge's as a kid, by the way.
Oh, we
they had
all
a
did.
they had a lunch counter.
Yep.
Did you go to the one in Waterbury? It was in Colonial Plaza, which was where our game place was. The S&H Green Stamp store. Remember the Green Stamps?
Yeah, they were like Kresge's. They were like a Grant's.
Yeah, Grant.
Or, I guess
Exactly.
Bradley's.
Exactly. Yeah.
All those places. Caldwell. So he established the Kresge Foundation, which was a nonprofit, and he gave away, by the time he died, about $60 million. And there's over 30 college buildings and nonprofit school buildings, YMCAs, and hospitals with his name on it. So he gave a lot of money to education and to building nonprofits or YMCAs in certain towns. There were so many. I couldn't believe how many Kresge things there were with his name on it. Similar to, I think, Carnegie Mellon or Carnegie. If you go to a lot of colleges, they'll have Carnegie buildings. So, and if you're watching on our video, the building on the left is this house in Detroit, which is actually quite modest in today's terms.
The White House?
Yeah. It's in the Boston section of Detroit. And then the other building there is Harvard. It's the Kresge building at Harvard. And then there was a YMCA camp in, I believe, in the Poconos in PA with his name on it. But I always love when these
Camp Kresge on Beaver Lake.
But I love when they give. I love when these philanthropists give money to education or give money to nonprofits and things. So it's pretty cool. Happy birthday, Sebastian.
So did you on this Kresge thing? So that plaza you and I used to go to as kids. It was the movie theater. What was the name of the Crazy Eights? Was the no? What was the name of the Electronic Cave or Crazy Eights as we played our video games?
Crazy Eights.
Crazy Eights, and then it was Kresge's, and then there was the S&H Green Stamp store. Now, did you do the green stamp thing?
My grandmother did for years. I think we may.
We got stuff like
yeah.
if you had enough.
Cooler.
Do you guys ever?
Lawn
Do
chair.
you guys remember? You probably don't. Maybe Garrett vaguely
boys.
does the S&H Green Stamp thing.
I've just heard stories about them.
What about service merchandise? Do you remember that? Spiegel catalog?
Oh, the Spiegel
Those
catalog.
names sound familiar, but I never interacted
From a
with those
foggy
things.
past called the last century, right? It's a foggy area.
Before TV remote.
We used to go into the green stamp store, and we had dreams. Like, I could get I could get a.
If I have another
I could
3
get
books of stamps.
If I had 50 books, I could get a canoe. If I had 10, I could get a Coleman lantern for all the camping I did as a kid, right? In Boy Scouts or something, which I didn't do a lot, but it was the store of dreams. But the stuff that was the nothing, the toss-aways, those are the 1 or 2 book items.
It's like skee ball at the arcade, right? No, and you say, 50 books, I can get a canoe. But then when you're shopping with your mother, the stamps spit out 5 stamps. Well, I need to put 500 in a book.
And you lick them and you put them down, and you're like, Mom, you got to go shopping again. I need more stamps.
S&H green stamps.
Yeah, Kresge's. That's a good business birthday, by the way.
So, hey, if you're friends of ours here on the focus group, you know that Deep Discount has been with us, one of our longest partnerships that we've had. And if you go to focusgroupradio.com, click on the Deep Discount logo, you'll see Sharky the Shark there.
Arr, sounds like a pirate, but I'm a shark.
Right, and start shopping away. The sale this week is a $10 and under sale.
Picked for you, by the way.
Did you pick that for me?
Yeah, our good friend in marketing at Deep Discount, Lauren, gives us a range of sales we can choose from, and I just saw the under 10 in budget. And you're a budget guy.
I am a budget guy. So I had the under 10 in budget, and I
am a budget guy.
Actually, there were a lot of things I would have picked, but I
See?
did pick one particular one. So, but what did you pick for this?
Okay, this is a movie that I think everybody needs to see. I love it. And do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So the movie's called Soap Dish, and it stars Sally Field as the star of a daytime show called The Sun Also Sets, as opposed to Sun Also Rises, right? Which is like, I think, an Ernest Hemingway book. The ratings are down. Her character's name is Celeste. And Robert Downey Jr., a young Robert Downey Jr., plays an executive at the network called David Barnes, and he's out to kind of get Celeste off the show. So he brings back her old lover, Kevin Kline, and then a young girl joins the cast named Laurie Craven, who's Elizabeth Shue, but we'll leave it out. Whoopi Goldberg's in it, Terry Hatcher, and Kathy Moriarty. All-star comedy cast, hilarious. Start to finish, it is a total campy, funny, it's just a fun movie.
I don't think I haven't seen it in, God, when did it come out? I know it's listed on there.
91.
91, okay, yeah.
Probably when I saw it.
No. So there are some great lines. Gary Marshall's in the movie. He plays the head of the network, and at one point he comes in and he goes, guys, and there's this big writer's room, and the lens does this thing where they go down the table and everybody's staring at him. He's going to make a decision. And he goes, I looked at stuff, and he goes, none of it's good. He goes, you know what I like? I like peppy, and I like cheap. Peppy and cheap. So he's a TV exec, right? I was going to animate that line for animation when I was taking classes. I like peppy, cheap. Peppy
Pulled
and cheap.
that used to be part of our imaging, or it was up for imaging.
Mm-hmm. It was a candidate for imaging.
Yes, peppy and cheap.
Yeah. So I picked Soap Dish on DVD.
That could have been it with a focus group with Tim Bennett, peppy and cheap.
I like peppy and cheap. Peppy and cheap.
Nash.
Let's keep that in mind for future imaging, right?
Well, listen, I picked
A classic, by the way.
a classic, and it was re-released in 2017 as the "Don't Call Me Shirley" edition. But on DVD for only $8, or I'm sorry, $6.69. You can't beat that. The Airplane movie, which originally came out in 1980. I didn't realize this. Do you know how long that movie was? Movies now are ridiculous. They're 2.5, 3 hours
I
long.
want to say it was like an hour and 20.
87 minutes.
There you go. It's longer than that, but yeah.
Perfect. And but do I even need to describe
No.
Airplane for anybody other than the movie would never be made now?
And lines
like
like
Blazing
I gave up
Saddles,
I gave up a bad week to stop sniffing glue or whatever was going on. Anytime the disaster spun up even higher, he would give up. I gave a bad week to give up smoking, bad week to give up whatever.
The gay guy that was in the control tower. I can make a pterodactyl.
Can anybody speak jive?
Yeah. I mean, it's one stereotype insult after another, and there was equal opportunity insult. I mean,
Everybody
there
was.
was not one group or type of people that weren't lampooned. So Airplane, that was the one I picked this week, and I couldn't believe, it's another one of those where I need to build my collection again. I've given too many things away and they don't come back.
Here's what I always say about packaged media. I know everybody doesn't want to bother with it, but we love it because you can't always find it streaming.
No.
I mean, and there was something you and I recently, a comedy series that, it was actually streaming on one of the services, but before that, you could only have it on DVD. So I always recommend getting packaged media. What's the new release this week?
So it was called Long Shot on Blu-ray, and it's from the celebrated team of Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, which have done the outrageous comedies This Is the End and Neighbors. And it's about a hard-partying journalist who's got it bad for Charlotte Field, who is Charlize Theron. And she was a presidential candidate. But it sounds like a movie I would like because it says there were raging parties, secret rendezvous, and hilarious rule breaking.
And Sparks Fly.
Did you watch it?
Sparks Fly.
Have you seen it?
No, I've heard of it. And I
Is
remember
it one of those like the, what's that movie where they all went to Vegas?
Hangover.
Thank you, Garrett.
and by the way, Garrett, on that point, did they ever really have to make any other one? Like the Hangover was kind of the Hangover was a perfect movie.
Yeah.
But I thought it was perfectly cast. It was funny. I don't
And
know.
they tried to do something with Bridesmaids or whatever that was.
Oh, I actually like Bridesmaids.
I didn't find the funny in it.
Oh, I thought it was hysterical.
Really?
Oh my God. There are, yeah.
Did
Anyway.
any of you guys see this movie? Launched now?
Not at this one.
Okay, well we'll have to take a look at it because when I see hard partying and all these other things,
Tim lights up. Hard partying, So just to recap, it's the under 10 and budget sale at deep discount. Get there by going to focusgroupradio.com. Click on the shark logo and begin your shopping. I selected Soap Dish on DVD. Tim picked Airplane, the Don't Call Me Shirley edition.
Shirley.
And the release this week is Long Shot on Blu-ray. What do we say, Garrett?
Thanks, Deep Discount.
And thank you, Garrett and Steve. We are going to be back after a very quick break with some shop talks for you, so stay tuned.
You're listening to The Focus Group with Tim and John. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com. Focus on the savvy side of 9 to 5 with The Focus Group.
Try, really try.
Listen, laugh, and learn with Tim and John.
I never try anything. I just do it.
Hey, welcome back to the Focus Group. Hello, everybody. That's going to come in handy on our next story. But Tim Bennett here with my good friend and co-host, Mr. John Nash. We are the Focus Group. We're live every Wednesday at 1 p.m. East. And, of course, we know that a lot of you, and we mean a lot by a majority now, time shift. So whenever you're watching, we're glad you're tuning in, or we're glad you're listening, or watching our video. Go to focusgroupradio.com, and you can download all of our media there, and it's all free. So that's what we love about it.
Free.
So we got two stories for Shop Talk right now, and both of them are I think they're both going to elicit good conversation. The first one John had found. I'll just read the title for you. It says, over 200 major companies signed Supreme Court brief in favor of LGBTQ workers. More than 200 major U.S. and international corporations signed an amicus brief submitted to the Supreme Court on Tuesday, earlier this month, arguing that excluding sexual orientation and gender identity from federal civil rights laws would undermine the nation's business interests. They argue that no one should be passed over for a job, paid less, fired, or subjected to harassment due to their sexual orientation or gender identity. So as a very simple practice, I looked at this and thought, well, it's basic human rights. It's equal rights, right? Mm-hmm.
And the amicus brief was filed because the High Court hears on October 8th arguments in 3 cases involving LGBTQ workplace discrimination. The first one is called Altitude Express versus Zarda. a skydiving instructor who was fired after a customer complained about the instructor disclosed that he was gay. I think that gentleman's actually passed away, and his partner is the one that's pursuing that. In RG and GR Harris Funeral Homes versus EEOC and Amy Stevens, a trans woman was fired from her longtime job at a funeral home after she announced her gender transition. And the final case is called Bostock versus Clayton County. A man was fired from his job as county child welfare services coordinator after his employer learned he is gay. So the court's hearing oral arguments, and the reason this went before the Supreme Court is 2 of the cases were decided in favor of the employees in the lower circuit, and the third case, which is the gentleman I think who was let go as a county worker for child welfare coordinator, was decided in favor of the employer. So whenever these cases only go in from the Supreme Court when the lower court has a disconnect or a conflict. Yeah. Did I do that right?
I think so. And what they want to do is essentially find out whether sexual orientation or gender identity falls under the Civil Rights Act of 1964. And again, I go back to, you might not accept LGBTQ people, or you might not believe in the way they live or who they choose to love or who they identify as, but it has nothing to do with religion. These are human beings. It's simple. And that's what I get aggravated about by a lot of this, because one of these groups that's fighting this and it is making some outlandish claim that this means that people are going to have to start doing it's going to force people to do sexual reassignment surgeries and have companies pay for it and all this other nonsense. The ADF, which is the Alliance Defending Freedom, and
make sure you say it's a conservative Christian legal group.
Did I need to?
Yeah. Well, I think it's good to.
In more than half the states, it's still legal to fire somebody for being LGBT. And, essentially, again, we're doing what the companies are doing here is what they've done on their EEOC statements with hiring by adding gender identity and sexual orientation as part of their non-discrimination clauses and hiring practices. So once again, the U.S. companies, and they list a bunch of them, all well-known companies in the U.S. of the 200 that have signed this petition, are way ahead of our government in many cases.
Well, yes, and when you think of Airbnb, Amazon, American Airlines, Apple, Bear, Bank of America, Best Buy, Domino's, Facebook, I mean the list goes on. Those companies basically are telling the Supreme Court in the amicus brief that collectively they employ over 7 million people, and they comprise $5 trillion in revenue. So those 200 companies that said to the Supreme Court, we think you should make sure that LGBTQ people are part of the Non-Discrimination Act, and which is also comes from the Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. That's a lot of money and there's a lot of people they employ. And I think there's a practicality to this as well. Like, your talent pool, the resources you have at the company, you want to be able to hire people. It's not in those companies' interest to have a patchwork quilt around the country of who can be fired. Because right now in 26 states.
More than half the states.
You can be fired or let go just for being gay. And
Lesbian,
from a corporate point of view, for every corporation that has a presence in different states, they have to have different policies, right?
Well, no, they would have their policy,
their overarching corporate policy.
It would not hold if you're in a state where they don't uphold it, and that's why again, we're talking about human beings. This isn't a religious issue. This isn't a moral issue. It's about people. It's a human beings issue, and you want to be treated just like everybody else. And as Americans, we all believe everybody's created equal and should be treated equally under the law. You pay your taxes, you're a good citizen. Why should I not be able to get all the same benefits that my neighbor has, just because I may be in a relationship that you might not think is morally acceptable?
That's it. But as we see with our politics of late, it's so easy for people to talk about other people in an other terms. Like,
go back to where you came from,
them,
John.
other, you're not. And the minute you do that, and the minute you could say something like that without even facing somebody or dealing with another human being, frankly, then it becomes easier to have these kinds of conversations. And that ADF you mentioned before, I mean, yeah, their whole thing is the church is, the world's burning down. Anyway,
The next one here, thanks to Jay in Ohio for sending us this. But now I'm going to go on the totally other side of the point of view of political correctness run
read
amok.
the headline.
So the headline is Berkeley, California eliminates term manhole and push to remove gendered language. The famously liberal city of Berkeley, California, or they could have said socialist, right? That's what's going on, is scraping all gendered words from its municipal code and replacing them with politically correct alternatives, including changing manhole to maintenance hole and brother to sibling. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is how we reelect Donald Trump in 2020.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because it goes on, the craziness. Did you?
Yeah. Berkeley is looking at doing the following as well. Manpower. We say we need a lot of manpower to get this job done, which is, I think, more of an idiom now than anything else, is replaced with human effort.
We need a lot of human effort.
Could you imagine a job site? We need more manpower over there. No. We need more human effort.
Hey, Ralph, I need more human effort over here. Give me your hand.
Yeah. Man-made, which is a term we've had for I don't know how long.
It's man-made.
Objects are now going to be either as artificial, manufactured, or machine-made.
Or synthetic.
Okay. And, all right, here's the kicker for me, though. The council's youngest member, 23-year-old Rigel Robinson, a recent graduate of the University of California, Berkeley, had pushed to change the existing code, which he labeled male-centric. So he's a guy, he's 23, he decides, I don't like all this male-centric stuff. Under the new code, estimated to set taxpayers back a whopping $600. Okay, so that's not so horrible. The phrase male and female will be replaced by people of different genders, while men and women are now just people.
Hello, people.
Hello, people.
Hello,
How are
everybody.
you?
So what do you do if you're at a concert there, ladies and gentlemen? Is it hello?
Well, no, if it's, you can't
hello,
say-
people of different genders. Welcome to the show.
How about this one? Anything referring to a pregnant woman is now about a pregnant employee. The only people who are capable of getting pregnant are, in fact, women. So why would you just not say a pregnant woman?
Well, then my favorite one, because I was a member of a fraternity. Which are gender specific, right? Men join fraternities, women join sororities. But under the his new system, they said this is going to cause a flummox for the brothers and sisters on the Greek communities. For fraternities and sororities, you're now going to be known as part of a collegiate Greek system residence. So you won't go down to the frat house or the sorority house. You're going to go to the collegiate Greek system residence.
All right, it gets better. All professions that contain masculine titles, such as fireman, policeman, bondsman, and repairman, will now be referred to as firefighter, police officer, bondspeople, and repairers. Repairers. I like repairman. Yeah, anyway.
Isn't Berkeley near San Francisco?
Yeah.
So I have news for you, City Council. Head out and walk the streets of San Francisco and start working on the issues with the meth encampments and the opioid dens and all the issues you have with homelessness and some of the other problems you have out there.
Which is a great way to close it, because some locals say the council should focus its efforts on more pressing matters. Sarah, a local resident, said, "That's Berkeley. I think they should put their time into figuring out homelessness." They literally sat around and they said, what are we going to call a fireman? A firefighter. What do you call a policeman? A police officer.
Postal carrier, right, or a mail carrier.
Mailman, right?
Mailman as well. But I get, the flight attendant, right? You can't say steward and stewardess. I get some of that, and I think a lot of that has evolved. But when you bring nonsense in like this is ripe. This was a gift.
Yeah.
This is a gift. If you mark my words, once we pass Labor Day and the political campaign starts heating up, this is a roadmap for the Trump rallies. And this is the sort of stuff where even moderates or independents are going to say, you know what, maybe we've gone a little bit too far here. I get it. This goes back to the I can't say Merry Christmas, all the other things that people say you can't do anymore.
Before today's show, me and Tim are laughing about some comedy bits that we love, as early as maybe 2005 even, that could never be made today because they rely completely on, I'm going to say, the hilarity of stereotype. Now, I'm not saying that stereotype's good, but a lot of comedians play in that zone, and we were laughing ourselves about how Europe Just think of Europe for a minute.
What big
Think
stereotype.
of France, you think of a beret and a
Right.
baguette.
A baguette and a little mustache and a
Bonjour, bonjour, right? You think of Italy, what do you think of?
it's
a boot.
Heavy lady with a pizza.
And it's the boot.
German, I got Layla who's in a hat and a feather.
And a beer stein.
Beers, you know,
So the beer. Yeah. Now,
not allowed.
well, I don't know.
I'll tell you, I will laugh though. I was cruising around YouTube, and you'd appreciate this. So I didn't know her all that well, but Bianca Del Rio, the drag queen.
Does she do a whole shtick with?
Well, she was doing something, and anybody should know you do not heckle a drag queen, right?
No, unless you're willing to get.
She was doing a presentation. She made some lesbian comment and some lesbian yells out to her. That's offensive. and Bianca Del Rio looks at her and goes, it's offensive, those effing highlights in your hair. And then she just went right at her, and I thought, lady, you opened your mouth, and you're...
There you go, right?
Drag queens are the least politically correct, and that's why we love them. So that was...
And again, at a comedy routine like that, I'm not exactly sure you expect it to be sanitized to the point of, like, let's bring all the kids under 5, whatever. All right, there you go. Thank you for joining us today as we end the month of July. Thank you to everybody in the booth for bringing us to you. These guys do a great job every week. We want to thank Deep Discount. Go to deepdiscount.com and get there by going to focusgroupradio.com. First, click on the shark. Arr! Sounds like a pirate, but it's a shark. It's the 10 and under sale this week. There's lots of deals to be had. What do we want to close with? Thank you to Lumen as well.
Thank you to Lumen.
It's tightening Tim's skin as we speak. The age is wearing away, but
look like the Joker.
In all seriousness, ease of use, it's a cool thing for guys to check out, and the offer they have at lumenskin.com/focus is basically $5.95 to get a $45 kit, so check it out.
Good deals.
All right, don't text and drive, arrive alive, and we'll see you next week. I love that one, the thing crashing the car.
It's The Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash. Accessible on all platforms. Subscribe, like, and rate us on your platform of choice. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com.
That was a stunning focus group.